All right, let's talk about crypto and how the government is clearly coming after individuals who are involved in the crypto space. Now, I know that many of our listeners here are not crypto users, and that's totally fine. You don't have to be into crypto to watch this show. But I do want to say that I've been using crypto, specifically Bitcoin, since 2012, 2013. I went to the Texas Bitcoin conference in 2012, started learning about it. I started getting paid in 2013. And in that time, because you might also know, I haven't had a bank account since 2008. And so with Bitcoin, I was able to send money around and receive money. Now, I usually had to cash it out and sell the Bitcoin for fiat, for dollars to pay rent. But still, I've been able to transact money for going on 12 years now, without banks, without government, without taxes, and I don't plan on changing that. But the reality is the Bitcoin space especially, and the crypto space more broadly, has been co-opted and is not about what it used to be about, which was much more oriented towards freedom. Let's end the Federal Reserve. Let's defeat the central banks. We can have people-powered money. We don't need the system. Let's build something new. Now there's less discussion of that, and there's more talk about what people call number go up, like people who just join like, oh, is the number going higher? Cool, I'm getting rich. I don't care if I can actually use it as a currency. And basically, and I've written about this before, there are companies like Blockstream and people with connections to the Bilderberg Group who started to get very involved in some of the instrumental pieces of the Bitcoin space. There's also people who are connected to Jeffrey Epstein at MIT Media Lab who were involved in and still are involved in the Bitcoin project. And it seems like, as the person we're about to talk about has said, Bitcoin was hijacked and it has been diverged away from the idea of it being a real world currency that people can use and trade, so they don't need government, so they don't need banks. And instead it's all about let's get rich, stock market, ETFs, and it just became super mainstream. And unfortunately, those people are winning. And the government is also at the same time clamping down and getting more and more aggressive. So this last week, early Bitcoin investor charged with tax fraud. This is from the Department of Justice. Man known as Bitcoin Jesus evaded nearly $50 million in taxes, they claim. And this is against Roger Ver, who, as I mentioned, he recently published a book called Hijacking Bitcoin. I just emailed him about 2 weeks ago. We were going to have him on the show to share about his new book, to tell this story. Roger was arrested in Spain based on their claim that he owes the IRS $50 million in taxes over Bitcoin. And they're accusing him of mail fraud, tax evasion, and filing false tax returns. He was arrested last weekend in Spain based on U.S. criminal charges, and they're going to seek his extradition to the U.S. for a trial. According to this, they say that he owned 2 companies and that these companies sold computers and networking equipment. And in 2011, Roger started getting Bitcoins for himself. He was one of the very earliest people to get involved in it. He was promoting it. He was investing in early Bitcoin companies. He supported and sponsored my tour in 2017 and 2018. I did a tour called Decentralize Your Life and Liberate Your Mind. And it was sponsored by his company, Bitcoin.com. And they sent me, I think, like $15,000 in Bitcoin to help us pay for gas. And we were able to, at that time, to show people like, look, we're paying for gas with Bitcoin. We're traveling the country using crypto, and we're giving it away to people to try to promote adoption so that we could create a real world counter economy outside of the hands of the government. And so I've worked with him. And he also very, very publicly in 2014 renounced his U.S. citizenship, and he got citizenship in this island of St. Kitts and Nevis. And he not only just said, I'm no longer a U.S. citizen, like he went through the process of what's called expatriation. And so I don't know much about that process, but according to the government here, he was required under U.S. law to file tax returns that report capital gains from the constructive sale of his worldwide assets, including the Bitcoins, and to report the fair market value. So basically, they're trying to say, okay, you want to expatriate, you want to leave the U.S., you're no longer a citizen, you have to pay what is referred to as the exit tax on his capital gains. So they're going to say, look at everything that you own and all the money you've owned, and give us a market value of that, and then you have to pay an exit tax on all that, and then you can leave and no longer be a U.S. citizen, which is just insane. By February 4th, 2014, Ver and his companies allegedly owned around 131,000 Bitcoins. This is 10 years ago, so they were worth a lot less, but still pretty wealthy for that time. You can only imagine how much money he has now. And that traded on several exchanges for around $871 each. And his companies allegedly held 73,000 of these Bitcoins. And so they go on to basically say that he hired a law firm to help him prepare these tax returns and to figure out how much his companies were valued. But they claim that he prepared and filed false tax returns that substantially undervalued his companies and the 73,000 Bitcoins. And he did not report that he owned any personal Bitcoins. So this is the craziest thing is, like, this is a brand new form of currency that somebody created, and we're trading it with each other through the internet, through our phones and computers, face to face and online. And it has nothing to do with the government. They didn't do anything. Just like when you go out and work hard every week and they take 1/3 of your check, they didn't do the work you did, and they still come and steal from you. Taxation literally is theft. And this is them trying to say that he owes them his Bitcoins, and because of that, they think he owes them millions of dollars. Listen to the hubris and the freaking hypocrisy of this line here, where the IRS says, in total, Ver is alleged to have caused a loss to the IRS of at least $48 million. Think about that. They're saying he caused a loss to them. He didn't cause a loss to them for anything. They're just claiming they own his money. And they're saying, well, he didn't pay his taxes, so he caused a loss of at least $48 million because now that Bitcoin's value has gone up. It's insane, guys. And you, even if you don't know who Roger Ver is or anything about this, you hopefully can understand the importance of this. This is a man who, whatever your opinions on him and his beliefs, he is a voluntarist. He definitely believes in freedom. He definitely believes in trying to create a better world. And he held some Bitcoin. And the government didn't get money from it. They haven't got tax dollars from him. So now they arrested him in Spain, a totally different part of the world, even though he's no longer a U.S. citizen, and claiming he owes them $48 million in taxes because he didn't tell them how many Bitcoins he had. It is crazy, guys. And unfortunately, this is just the latest in many. I'm trying to see if I have it right here. Last summer, there was arrest of these gentlemen involved in a project called Tornado Cash, which allowed people to do what's called swapping and mixing. And this basically means if I have Bitcoin and I want to change my money to a different Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash or Monero, these services, you send one and you get the other. It's kind of a magic swap. There's also called tumblers and mixers, which basically make it harder for governments to track your money. And this is why many of us privacy advocates like it. The government claims that terrorists also like this, and North Korean hackers also use this. And so they arrested the guys from Tornado Cash because they said they didn't do enough to stop hackers from using their service. In the last week, Samurai Wallet, which is supposed to be privacy-based, has gone down. I think it was Phoenix Wallet and several, Wasabi, this other company, they announced they're voluntarily shutting down. So again, whether you know the names of these companies or not is irrelevant. The point is, the experiment of using crypto in a free way is maybe coming to an end. And again, if you never even believed in crypto, you think it's all NSA money, then maybe this doesn't matter to you. But I've been doing this without banks. Are you paying taxes? Are you still using the bank? Because I'm not. I'm not funding war. I'm not funding violence. I'm not working with the banks who helped fund Jeffrey Epstein and who helped rob the American people in 2008 and every other time they've robbed the people. I'm not supporting that. So maybe you're ignorant to crypto, but for those of us who've been using it, we've seen the value. And now the government is coming hard after those who are trying to use it in a way that allows people to escape their slave game. And I don't know what comes next, but I do know it's getting bad. They are starting to arrest people. They are, they're going to keep coming. And I do have fears of myself of becoming a target. I'm nobody big. I don't have $48 million in crypto, and I'm not boldly saying, hey, F the government, I'm going to sever my citizenship. But I'm pretty vocal, and I travel a lot, and I share my message a lot. And so I do worry every now and then if they might come after me one day. But nevertheless, let's let go of that fear for now. I want to share one more clip in this crypto section that we're covering about the potential for Bitcoin, and I would say more specifically XMR Monero, because Monero is what I like to believe in, or what I like to use. Out here in Mexico, I can use websites like Local Monero. I can sell my Monero. I can say, I want to sell you one Monero, which is worth 150 whatever US dollars or however many pesos. I can initiate a transaction with somebody. I can go to the ATM. This is an option in Mexico, not many countries. And I can put in a 16-digit code that he gives me. Once I put in that code, the ATM gives me the cash, no bank account, no ID, nothing. And then I go back to the app or the phone and I click send, and then I send him the crypto. He gets the Monero, I get cash. There's so many ways to really use this. And what we're trying to do here in Morelia is to build a local counter economy, to get more businesses to accept Monero and help them understand the differences between Monero and CBDCs. But first, help them understand, look, we can trade, I can buy your goods and do so in a way that doesn't involve taxes, that doesn't involve government, doesn't involve banks, and is more private and secure. So we're working on that. And this clip I want to play here, it's just 5 minutes long, is from a gentleman who's doing a similar thing, working with this NGO in Peru. And I don't know everything about them, so I'm not saying they're perfect. I don't know anything about this guy. I just came across the channel. And this is just a short clip, but he shows examples of how this small, poor community in Peru has benefited from Bitcoin and is now providing some hope. So check this out, because this is an example of what I want to do in my local community in Mexico with Monero. And I think this is what we need to do. If we're not going to get sucked into the CBDC system, we need to have alternative systems, and we need to start working on that like yesterday. So check this clip out.
I'll admit I was apprehensive before entering the town of Caraballo. It was loud, dusty, run down, and strikingly poor. Rich shared stories about the levels of domestic violence in the town as we pulled up to the community center, where women and even kids are adopting Bitcoin.
If you're lucky, you'll hear the mom stories about their personal transformation, the tool of Bitcoin, and being able to earn my own money. If it's dangerous, I can earn my own way and I can take care of my children. That level of hope is why they don't ever want to go home.
I felt a little awkward too. I mean, I'm a tall, privileged white guy who sticks out like a sore thumb. But that feeling quickly washed over me thanks to the warmth and kindness of the families at the center. The NGO-funded school was bustling with gregarious, smiling and cheeky kids who were delighted to hang out and even more delighted to see Paco the drone pilot and these funny tall people like me. I spoke with the women on and off camera and was struck hearing how Bitcoin improved their lives. By using Bitcoin on their phones as opposed to cash in their pockets, the mothers felt empowered.
Antes del centro me dedicaba en mi casa, estar cerrada en mi casa más, porque también fue la pandemia, estamos cerrados. Acá venimos, mi hijita viene al refuerzo que te enseñan matemática. Ajá. El refuerzo de inglés. Ajá. También hay emprende que hacemos que en costura y repostería bien. Ah, okay. Sí, ha sido bueno para mi hijo porque ha aprendido más. Todo, como está en la pandemia, mi hija no estudia y acá le traje y aprendió a leer, escribir, a contar los números, todo.
Indeed, some mothers commented that Bitcoin had helped to contribute to a reduction in the rates of domestic violence in the town. Bitcoin had effectively banked these women for the very first time, and now that they had a means to earn money, or sats, small amounts of Bitcoin, they were finally finding their feet.
La pandemia me trajo acá a este lugar por lo que también la enfermedad de mi hijo. Mi hijo tenía esquizofrenia y se necesitaba pues un espacio más amplio. Yo tengo una profesión que soy docente y esa profesión pues lo estoy aplicando acá con los niños, lo que es refuerzo escolar. Estamos trabajando mucho con las mamás. Okay. Porque si tú no trabajas con las mamás no vas a ver un cambio en nuestra sociedad.
¿Qué sabías de Bitcoin antes de llegar aquí?
No sabía nada de Bitcoin. Antes tenían miedo del Bitcoin. Wow, ¿y si me estafan? Y sí que es mentira, y que para qué me piden mi número de teléfono, y que si me van a robar mis hijos, también ese es del diablo, porque ya estamos al fin del mundo. La mamá tenía mucha desconfianza, pero ahora ya no, fuimos poco a poco, ¿no? Haciéndoles ver lo que es Bitcoin, la utilidad de Bitcoin, y ellos pues ahora están contentos y ahora ya, como que te digo, lo comentan a sus familiares, a sus amistades. Bitcoin transformó esta comunidad. Nosotros los usamos en las tiendas, ¿no? Acá tenemos tiendas autorizadas y nos vamos a esas tiendas. También tenemos una pollería que nos vamos a darnos los gustitos, ¿no? También vendemos, ¿no? Lo que te digo, estos productos con las mamitas, los colets para el cabello, cartucheras, polos, también para la educación de los chicos y en este caso para los maestros, los albañiles, ¿no? Yo veo que ahora las mamás están emprendiendo. Están mejorando. Como tú has visto, las mamitas tienen su bebé, cargado su bebé, pero ellos se van y venden ya sus productos, pero ya no en soles, como ellos dicen, hermana, tengo mi celular, listo, acá está mi celular. Pero si yo tuviera soles, ¿qué pasa? Me roban el celular, se acabó mi plata, me llevan todo. En cambio el Bitcoin es seguro, es fácil de usar y rápido. Y no pasa nada, ¿no? Lo recuperas. Bitcoin no es solo una moneda, cae en este lugar. Este lugar es un centro donde convivimos niños, mamás de la comunidad y ellas se empoderan para mejorar como madres, como personas, con valores, ¿no? Y transformar, una transformación pues en el hogar, no solo pues, que tengo parte económica, también lo emocional, los valores.
Video from the channel is called Joe Nakamoto. And as I mentioned, he was visiting Peru there, and I'll put the link to the whole video in the show notes once this goes up. But that is an example of what I think we all need to be doing. Even if you don't believe in Bitcoin or crypto, that's fine. Imagine doing that, but with silver, if that's your thing, or you create a new local paper currency, or if you're into barter or time banking, or whatever the case may be, or even just encouraging more businesses to use cash and developing a cash network. We need local economies because the psychopaths are going to push CBDCs, and they're clearly going after and arresting people who are trying to provide alternatives and who are speaking out against their Federal Reserve central banking fiat theft death system. And so we're either going to just sit here like, oh, I'm scared, I'm afraid to do anything, so I'm just going to keep using the banks and keep using fiat currency and keep paying taxes, or we're going to actually think about the coming generations and think about our children and do something about it. There's only so many options. I mean, as far as I see it, that is pretty much what it comes down to. You're either going to actually do something, or you're going to acquiesce, you're going to sit by apathetically and watch the world turn to shit. So choice is yours.
Hey guys, the clip you just watched is from my weekly podcast, The Conscious Resistance Live, which I recently just relaunched. And I just wanted to add a little bit to this video. Since I just recorded this on Monday, it's now Wednesday that I'm recording this and releasing this video. And in the last 2 days, just since I was recording this, warning about the government coming after crypto users and different wallets and businesses that focus on privacy having to shut down, we've just seen a new announcement from local Monero that they are ceasing all operations within the next 6 months. And in fact, by next week, you won't be able to do any more trades on local Monero. Some of you may remember that this is the exchange, the decentralized exchange that I use here in Mexico, where I can sell Monero and receive pesos at the ATM without a bank, without ID, without government involved. And unfortunately, that is coming to an end. But this is just the latest example of how different businesses, wallets, exchanges that are trying to allow those of us out there who care about privacy and liberty and are trying to exchange without using trackable and traceable methods through bank accounts and taxes and stuff like that, that we are facing an increasing onslaught. This is just the beginning. I think it's going to get worse, unfortunately. And I just wanted to add this to the video to let you know local Monero is going to be shutting down now very soon. So add them to the list of wallets and businesses that are shutting down out of fear of what the US government will do. Hopefully, though, there are brighter times on the horizon. I know I'm not going to stop using crypto. I don't encourage you guys to cower in fear. I encourage you to keep finding ways, finding new tools and new projects to be able to transact value without government. But the key is and has always been to focus on creating local counter economies. Whether you're talking about cash, barter, gold, silver, crypto, the answer is having a local economy outside of the government and outside of the banks. So thank you guys for watching. Until next time, remember, you are powerful, you are beautiful, and you are free.